What's going on, guys? Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. Today we're doing a complete deep dive breakdown and analysis of the 2024 men's Wimbledon final between Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz. If you want to find out exactly how Alcaraz beat Djokovic in this match, stay tuned. It's coming up next. All right, guys, before we jump into the analysis, let's look at some numbers from 2023's final compared to 2024, and specifically the points won by rally length numbers. If we look at the rally length numbers from 2023 in the final, we can see that 1 to 4 shot points were 57% of all the points played. 5 to 8 shot points were 25% of all the points played. 9 to 12 shot points were 12% of all the points played, and 13 plus shots were 6% of all the points played. But how do those numbers compare to 2024? In 2024, 1 to 4 shot points were 66% of all the points played. 5 to 8 shot points were 28% of all the points played. 9 to 12 shot points were 5% of all the points played. And 13 plus shot points were just 1% of all the points played in this match. So why was the 2024 final geared so much more towards shorter points versus the 2023 final played between the exact same players? The biggest reason why, and we'll look at the points in a second, was Alcaraz served bigger in the 2024 final. And not only did he serve bigger, Alcaraz also followed up those big serves with a lot of big first ball strikes in the point. So let's jump in and take a look at some of the points now. All right, before we run the analysis, let's let this point play once in real time. Alcaraz here serving first serve T. Djokovic stretches, Alcaraz forehand, and then Djokovic forced into the air. So let's jump into the actual analysis of this point now, guys. We've got, again, Alcaraz here serving on the near side, Djokovic returning on the far side. We've got early in the first set here in this point. So let's jump into it. Alcaraz has really refined and kind of changed his first serve ball position, so where he's tossing his first serve at. So we can see the contact is here. He's definitely getting it a little bit more in line with the right shoulder, even a little bit to the right of that on first serves. In the past, that could vary a little bit more and be a little bit different. So again, really strong position from Alcaraz here. Hits the bullet up the tee. And the first thing that we see off that return of serve from Djokovic is number one, right? Novak here really stretched by the Alcaraz serve because it's a really good serve placement and there's got a lot of MPH on it, so he's hitting it really big. And then just from there, Djokovic does an okay job, but ends up leaving the ball short here in the middle of the court. And anytime, again, we're leaving the ball short in the middle of the court, we're going to have some issues with our opponent potentially getting aggressive off of that first shot. So Alcaraz has the opportunity, right, to get aggressive because Djokovic has left this ball short just past the service line in what I like to call zone 2 in this area of the court. So anything in zone 2 that's short, you should have the opportunity to really punish the ball. Alcaraz, even though he's kind of on the back foot on this, watch Alcaraz from here, kind of on the back foot, kind of backing away a little bit, he's still able to get aggressive when he's backing away from balls. Most of the time when Djokovic hits these types of returns, he usually hits them a little bit deeper, but he'll force his opponents to go backwards with their body weight. And usually when he does that, he forces them into mistakes or hitting short balls. But Alcaraz was taking a lot of chances off of his back foot and really driving balls from these defensive positions. And he drives one there. Djokovic here on the run. And who knows how much of the knee played a factor in Djokovic's movement in these points and in this situation, that knee surgery he had. But at the end of the day, on the run, Djokovic wasn't as good as he was in the past, and then he makes the mistake right there. So let's jump into the second point now. All right, before we break it down, let's let it play once in real time, guys. Alcaraz serving on the ad side, far side. It's a really big wide serve and then follows with the serve and volley winner right there. So let's just jump back here for a second. And again, Djokovic talked a lot about Alcaraz's first serve speed in this match, saying he hadn't seen Alcaraz serve this big before. So it looks like Carlos has found another gear on his serve and is hitting his serves, not just with spots, but he's also hitting the serves really big. So let's look at this point here now. Alcaraz serving here on the far side and hits a bullet serve, right, to what would be the small target area right here, but hits a bullet serve wide and gets Novak, right? Novak splits and goes towards the ball ends up completely stretched to the backhand side here. So Novak's in a weak position, stretching towards the ball. He's really having to play defense in this situation. We know he's going to slice the return, and the return is probably going to be weak. So Alcaraz sees that right here, right? He recognizes that position, comes in for the serve and volley, hits the backhand volley from this position right here, and then Djokovic on the opposite end of the court and goes small target to the opposite side to finish with the winner. But again, Alcaraz, really, really big first serve here. Okay, wide. You can see that the stretch. We can see the miles per hour up there in the right corner. So Alcaraz hits 126 on this particular first serve, but hits it wide, sees the opportunity come in, and then finishes again, not just hitting big serves, but it's what Alcaraz did after those big serves that counted even more, finishing the mess and cleaning it up on Djokovic and finishing him off. Let's jump into the next point now. Before we break it down, let's let it play once in real time. Alcaraz again serving, Djokovic returning near side. Big bullet to the body, Djokovic with the short return, and then the drop shot finish there from Carlitos, right? So again, right here, Alcaraz serving on the far side, deuce side. And this time, instead of just going corners, so one mistake a lot of people have made against Djokovic in the past is that they just serve corner to corner with their serve placements. Berrettini tried a strategy of serving less corner to corner on Djokovic a few years back when they played in the Wimbledon final, and it wasn't 100% effective for him, but he did vary his serve positions. And Alcaraz has kind of taken a page out of the Berrettini playbook by not just hitting his serves corner to corner, but hitting big serves that he's trying to pin on Djokovic's hips, either left or right hip. A lot of times it's the backhand hip here to try to force a weak return. So it's a body serve that he's trying to get into the hip, and he's trying to force Djokovic to get jammed. Djokovic does a really good job in these positions of maintaining proper space, and he does so here. But what happens is what Alcaraz is really looking for is short and weak returns, and he gets one right here, right in zone 2, gets the weak return in this position. And that's key because once he has a shorter or weaker return that's not pushing him back, Alcaraz, we can see, right, moving inside the court in this position. Well, once he's inside the court, Djokovic is thinking that Alcaraz is going to attack him. So Djokovic's most common move is going to stay back behind the baseline because he's hit a defensive shot to Alcaraz where Alcaraz can get really aggressive and offensive. So Alcaraz does a great job disguising his shots. Djokovic doesn't see it coming, but there is the drop shot we can see now at the last second from Alcaraz. Again, he holds this position, the drop shot position, better than anyone that I've ever seen personally. He does a really good job of just not letting you know when a drop shot's going to come from this position here, just a couple frames forward, and suddenly he goes from what's looking like a topspin backhand here to a last second drop shot. Djokovic doesn't read it and see it, and then he floats it right to the side, and Djokovic just kind of concedes that, hey, I can't get to that shot. But Alcaraz's ability, again, to follow up these big serves and well-placed serves with a finishing shot after really, really did a lot of damage to Djokovic. Let's jump into the next point now. Here again, Alcaraz far side, this time on the ad side. Let's let it play once in real time before we break it down. Big serve again. Looked like it jammed Djokovic a little bit, and then finishes with the big forehand. So let's look at this again. We talked about how Alcaraz took a page out of Berrettini's book from a few years ago, is not just serving corner to corner, okay? A lot of his serves are actually going to the body and different areas of the body. So here's another example right here, okay? This might not truly be a complete body serve, but it's also nowhere near the corner of the service box where Djokovic tends to have a lot of success returning against people as these corner serves, but he aims it here, trying to jam Djokovic's hip on the left side on the backhand side, which Djokovic returns very well on his backhand side. But if you can jam him on a really big serve and force him to hit weak, now we have a ball that we can work with on the other side where we can set up and get aggressive right away. And that's what happens. Djokovic accidentally got jammed by that serve, just a little tiny bit of jamming here on this return. Hand position's a little bit close inside, a little bit uncomfortable, and that sets up an accidental mishit return from Djokovic. Djokovic did not try to go down the line small target here on purpose. This is an accidental wide return, and anytime we hit wide and weak, that's one of the biggest mistakes we can make in tennis, is hitting defensive balls to the widest parts of the court, because when our opponent gets over there and they decide that they're going to get aggressive with the shot, once they get aggressive, we have to get between their best two possible shots, which would be corner here and corner here, which means Djokovic's recovery position over here is a really large amount of space on the court. And to cover that, he's going to have to move really well. So Alcaraz takes a small target. Djokovic can't cover it there, and he hits the winner right by him. But it all started with this excellent serve placement. Again, not in the corner, but a big bullet on the hip to the body right here, trying to jam Djokovic instead of serving corner to corner. Vary it a little bit, serve big. And again, that was a big serve, right? We see 135 has appeared up in that upper right corner. So he's hitting some serious gas on those serves, but he's not just hitting them corner to corner. He's waiting for setups for weak returns, gets it, finishes, and cranks the big forehand. And if we look at the first serve placement numbers for Alcaraz in this match, the stats really back up what we're talking about here, right? So he hit 40% of his first serves wide, 36% of his first serves to the tee, and a very high number, 24% of Alcaraz's serves were aimed at Djokovic's body. So he used a combination of wide and tee serves, stretching the box, along with the body serves to help keep Djokovic on his toes and kind of off balance, right? So that the returns would occasionally be weak, and Alcaraz could set up a first ball strike off those weak returns. Another thing that surprised me in this final was Alcaraz going after a ton of small targets in this match, hitting the highest percentage of small targets that I've ever seen in a Grand Slam final. And I've been tracking these matches for the last 10 years. So let's jump in and we'll talk a little bit about big and small targets before we break the points down. All right, so let's just let this play once in real time before we break it down. Alcaraz here serving near side, Djokovic returning on the far side. There's the return. Good small target by Alcaraz. Another small target by Alcaraz, and then another small target by Alcaraz. So let's go ahead and talk really quickly about big and small targets, guys. Big and small targets in this situation, right? Small targets are anything that land inside the red areas of the court, the red shaded areas. That's 2 or less feet from the single sideline right here. And then big targets are going to be anything that land in between the red shaded areas. Those are the green dots. Those will be considered to be big targets, which are more than 2 feet inside the single sidelines. All right, let's break this point down now. Again, Alcaraz serving on the deuce side here to Djokovic. Hits a big serve, not necessarily again to the corner, but brings it a little inside. Djokovic here with the return. And Djokovic does a good job, though, of getting Alcaraz to get on his back foot. So from this position here, he backs Alcaraz up just a little bit, right? Forces him onto his back foot to try to get him to play defense off of the return of serve that Djokovic just hit. But what Alcaraz did really well was when he was going backwards like this, he was still able to get good pace and good force off these shots to try to prevent Djokovic from gaining advantage right away in the point. So Alcaraz hits a small target right here, right? Hits a small target, which is a tough shot to hit, especially when we're going backwards or moving back off of the return of serve. But he hits the small target, gets Djokovic now right on the dead run. So we see Djokovic in this position, stretching and reaching for the shot, not expecting Alcaraz to hit a small target off of his back foot, but that's what he did. And Djokovic goes cross court, but the mistake that Djokovic makes on accident, he doesn't get the ball with enough depth to prevent Alcaraz from stepping into the court right and now getting aggressive with this shot. So Alcaraz paints another small target, this time down the line with the backhand side. So Djokovic is running from one side of the court to the other. And the amount of small targets that Alcaraz hit in this match was pretty shocking. It's the highest percentage of small targets that I've seen in any of these finals up to this point. So again, Djokovic running and accidentally hits short again. Alcaraz lining up the backhand right here, steps up to crank this and paints another small target, this time to the outside edge of that single sideline, right? But paints the line again here with another small target and finishes Djokovic off. And again, Alcaraz was really impressive here with his ability to hit small targets, not just in general, but how he did it. So here, backing up on the back foot, paints a small target on the first one. Djokovic now scrambling on the dead run, can't get the ball deep, gets it cross, but can't get it deep and cross. Alcaraz paints another small target there. Djokovic still running, short ball again, and then another small target to hit the winner and finish Djokovic off. Alcaraz was really impressive in his ability to hit small targets from difficult positions in this match. Let's jump into the next point now. All right, so before we break this one down, let's go ahead and let this play once in real time. Djokovic this time the server, Alcaraz with a chip forehand return. Djokovic goes down the line with a big shot. Alcaraz pulls out that small target and then follows it up with a second one to finish him off. So let's just look at this now here and break it down here. Djokovic again serving near side, hits a second serve. Alcaraz chips the forehand back, doesn't get enough depth on this, so this one lands in zone 2. Getting Djokovic backing up a little bit, but Novak's really loading his body weight, and we're able to load our body weight like this. We can get aggressive with our shots. So Novak takes it, rips it down the line, almost a small target, but not quite. Gets very good depth on it, getting into zone 3 right there. And then Alcaraz comes over from that position, though, and hits a small target off of Djokovic's really good shot. And I think Novak was surprised that when Novak was attacking and hitting good balls like this forehand right here down the line, I think it really threw him off that Alcaraz was not just attacking back. That he expects in some situations, but he was attacking back and hitting, small targets to corners and hitting balls that are unexpected, at least up to this point. He hasn't seen anybody attack like this except maybe Nadal on clay, right? So Djokovic now on the dead run goes from being on offense, right, to suddenly being on defense, and he's surprised by it, and he ends up hitting a pretty good deep defensive ball. Again, zone 3 depth right here, but Alcaraz has time to step around. Instead of hitting a backhand, Alcaraz moves around right here, takes his time, loads his body, loads his legs, and then hits another small target right there. Follows that up with a slow rolling small target. Just rolls it. Wrong foots Djokovic. And all Djokovic can kind of do is bow his head and kind of look down the other way and get ready to play the next point. But again, these unexpected small targets from Alcaraz when Djokovic was attacking him was a big key, not just tactically, but also really mentally discouraging Djokovic throughout this match. So it was incredible to see Alcaraz come up with these targets from these tough positions. And just to bring up the stats side of this, guys, Alcaraz hit 85% of his shots in this match in the big target and 15% of his shots in the small target area. And 15% might not sound like much to you watching at home, but 15% is a very high percentage of balls to be hitting in the small target area. If you look at last year's numbers for Alcaraz, it was 87% big targets in the final against Djokovic in the 2023 final and 13% small targets. So he increased his small target percentage up to 15%. And just to keep this in mind versus some other players, right? The Sinner Australian Open final from earlier this year, Sinner was up at 91% of his targets as big targets and just 9% as small targets in the Australian Open final. So Alcaraz being at 15% small targets is a very, very high number, and it's difficult to pull it off, especially at this level. And just before we jump into the next point, let's talk about something I like to call counters. Counter is basically a situation where opponent hits an offensive shot and you're able to counter them and hit a shot where you either neutralize the point and situation, you hit a winner back against your opponent, or you do damage to your opponent and you take control of the point with your next shot. So in this match, Alcaraz did a very good job of countering Djokovic. And if we just peek at the numbers here, we can see Alcaraz's counter numbers were really off the charts compared to Novak, right? Counter damage, we had Alcaraz at 18, counter winners, Alcaraz at 10, and counter neutralized situations, Alcaraz at 9 for a total of 37 counters. Djokovic's counter numbers, counter damage 12 times and counter neutralized 7 times. So Alcaraz beat Djokovic in this match 37 counters to 19, which is truly incredible. He almost doubled the number of counters that Novak had in this match. And before we break it down, let's let it play once in real time. We've got Djokovic here serving on the near side to Alcaraz far side. Really good serve placement. Aggressive forehand from Novak and the insane winner from Alcaraz right there. Really athletic play. All right, so let's go ahead and break this point down now. Djokovic serving on the near side to Alcaraz. Hits a very, very good serve down the tee, probably within 6 to 10 inches of the center line right here. So we know this serve is going to produce a weak return more than likely from Alcaraz, and he gets him stretched right here. And when we get our opponent stretched like this with one hand and the racket face open, we know a slice return is coming with the following shot. So Alcaraz does chip accidentally a little bit short here to Djokovic, where Novak can really step up and load his body weight and get aggressive with this shot right here. And Djokovic takes a small target and an aggressive forehand to the corner of the court. And a lot of times we think when we hit shots like this, and we should expect in most situations, when you paint lines with shots like this, more than likely you're going to get a weak return on the next shot. But again, we talked about Alcaraz doubling up Djokovic basically in the counter category in this match. And we can see here on the dead run, Alcaraz in a very defensive position. But what is Alcaraz able to produce from that defensive position? He produces a small target counter winner that screams right by Novak. And that's incredibly disheartening just mentally. If you're Novak, you hit a phenomenal serve. You followed that up by painting the line, the outside of the sideline, with a very aggressive forehand, and your opponent comes back and hits a screaming winner down the line that is extremely low percentage to a very small part of the court. Those counter skills and that athleticism that Alcaraz has is one thing that helps separate him from the rest of the field, and it's a reason why he has the slam count that he has. All right, let's jump into the next point now, guys. We've got this one here. We'll play it in real time. Carlos serving on the far side, Djokovic returning on the near side. A pretty good return from Novak, a good scoop from Carlos, aggressive target from Novak, another aggressive shot from Novak. And then Novak ends up getting passed here by Carlos on the stretch and on the run. So let's break this one down now in real time. Again, Alcaraz serving far side, Djokovic returning on the near side here. Alcaraz second serve kicks it to the body. And we can see the toss position here. We know it's a kick serve by the way Alcaraz is lining this up and how he's positioned to go up to contact. He's going to hit pretty big speed, but also kick it, put a lot of topspin on it, right? And Djokovic comes from that position, and Djokovic slides out of the way like he usually does, has a high contact point here, and hits a very good aggressive return of serve that lands in zone 3, getting Alcaraz to kind of crouch down here and have to play from a defensive position right here. So Djokovic, great returner. Alcaraz handles it and gets it cross court. He doesn't hit a great shot. It's short, where Djokovic can now direct this to one of the corners, right, if he wants to, because Djokovic is moving forward into the ball. He's able to step in because Alcaraz didn't hit deep. Djokovic directs to a small target right here and gets Alcaraz running, right? So hits an aggressive shot to a small target. Alcaraz trying to survive at this point. And when we're trying to survive at most points, if we have to hit short for any reason, we'll usually hit cross court to try to make our opponent change direction of the ball, which is risky. So Alcaraz takes this one, and again, he hits cross. He just doesn't get it very deep, which means Djokovic can go to the open court and get it aggressive again, even though it's a tougher shot, or he could go back behind Alcaraz right here. Let's see what he does. He goes behind with the sharp cross-court angle, aggressive to a big target, gets Alcaraz to stop here on a dime, forces him to stop on a dime. And then from that position, Alcaraz, big defense, he's lunging and hitting a slice forehand on the complete stretch. So Djokovic knows here, I've got him in a very, very difficult position. And we can see Djokovic moving forward, recognizing that he's put Alcaraz on the stretch and has him on defense. He moves in, trying to finish the volley. But one thing Alcaraz displayed in this match, again, besides amazing counter skills, Alcaraz showed very good control of the ball, the direction, the aim, the height of it, when he's in defensive positions. Look at Djokovic here. Djokovic should be getting a very weak volley, and he's getting a weak one, but he had to run all the way over here to get it, and he had to hit it from a height that is lower than the height that he would want to attack a volley from. If we're getting an attackable volley, it'll be hit above the height of the net when we contact it. But here, Djokovic, because of Alcaraz's placement of the ball, his touch on defense, his ability to counter, he's forced to hit this at a lower height than he wants, which means it's not as attackable as Djokovic wants it to be. And now Djokovic isn't going to be able to hit down on this volley and hit it aggressively. He's going to have to hit it in a little bit more of a defensive way and drop it short. And Alcaraz recognizes that, sets that up, and then takes the winner right there. And as that winner floats by Novak, look at the reaction on Djokovic's face right here. and kind of the body language after Alcaraz hits that winner. So these shots, these highlight reel shots from Alcaraz are discouraging for any opponent. Doesn't matter what their level is. And the stats in this match confirm it. There's a category that I like to call damage that I like to track statistically in these matches. And if we look at the damage category in this match, right, Djokovic actually beat Alcaraz in total damage, hurting his opponent with his shots a total of 81 times compared to Alcaraz's 54. But that was outweighed by Alcaraz's ability to counter Djokovic, right? So we know Djokovic was actually the aggressor in this match. That speaks to how good Alcaraz's athleticism and defense are, that Djokovic was the one controlling the majority of the points, but Alcaraz was the one winning on the scoreboard. And we can have a lot of different weapons in tennis, right? But one of the biggest weapons that Alcaraz has is his foot speed and his sheer ability to track down shots in the court. If we look at Djokovic's big and small targets in the 2024 final, we can see his big targets were just at 83% in this match, and his small targets were at 17%. If we look at the 2023 final that they played at Wimbledon, Djokovic was at 87% of his shots as big targets and 13% as small targets. Djokovic used a very large percentage of small targets in this match because he felt the pressure from Alcaraz's feet. If we just look at the third set big and small targets for this match from Djokovic, we can see that he hit 20% of his shots as small targets in the third set of this match. That means he felt a lot of pressure from Alcaraz's feet. I've never seen Djokovic's target numbers that high for small targets in any match that I've tracked, which means that Alcaraz's feet were so good and his defense and court coverage were so good that Djokovic felt like he had to spread the ball to the sides of the court and take more risk to try to get balls by Alcaraz, but it didn't work. So with that in mind, let's move on to the next point now. All right, let's let it play once in real time before we break it down. We've got Alcaraz here serving on the near side, Djokovic returning on the far side. And Djokovic reaches, lunges, hits an incredible small target return from there. Another small target, a good volley, and then finishes with a small target winner. So let's break this point down now, guys. Alcaraz serving here on the near side, serving the Novak. Hits a really big first serve, right to the corner there. Big first serve. Not exactly like a small target, but again, hitting a lot of big serves that didn't land far in the corners, but had a lot of pace on them, trying to do damage with that serve and set things up. Djokovic reaches and lunges here in a very defensive position, sort of forced into a super defensive position right there where he's reaching and lunging. But Novak hits incredible returns from these positions and comes up with a small target from that position. Again, it's incredible that he's able to come up with these types of returns from those reaching and lunging positions. So that's small target number one from Novak. Alcaraz scoops it, tries to get it deep to play some defense here. Djokovic pounds the forehand, short angle this time, trying to open up the court. So a lot of times when he hit the previous ball deep, like Djokovic did here, right, hits deep, we can take advantage of our opponent being further back in the court, and then we can hit shorter angles to small targets just like this to try to continue to open up the court, and that's what he did with that ball right there. But Alcaraz scoops it as Novak comes in for the volley, and Djokovic does a very good job coming forward, recognizing that Alcaraz was off balance right here with his body, right, hitting off of one foot from this position, severely off balance and reaching. Novak recognizes that and starts moving forward before Alcaraz even finishes his stroke. So he moves in for the volley, knowing it's going to be a weaker shot he can take advantage of. Hits a good volley here, short, considering Alcaraz was in a deeper position. Alcaraz comes over, comfortably plays the lob, and then Djokovic is stretched on this overhead right here in a pretty darn tough position to have to hit this shot. And Djokovic comes up with a small target again, 3 small targets in this point, just to finish Alcaraz off and get a ball by him. That's how good Alcaraz's feet are and were in this match. But the fact that Djokovic had to hit 3 small targets in this point just to win the point tells you all you need to know about the challenges Alcaraz was providing with his feet. Let's move on to the next point now. All right, so we'll let it play once in real time before we break it down. Novak returning near side, Alcaraz serving, good body serve. Little net cord there on the return of serve, deep on that return. Djokovic down the line backhand. Djokovic small target forehand. comes in to finish the volley and misses. So let's break this one down now, guys. Again, Djokovic returning on the near side here. Alcaraz serving far side. Really good second serve. And Alcaraz hit a ton of big second serves in this match. This one pretty big, 99 miles an hour here, but right into the body again. Djokovic kind of gets out of the way, is a little bit jammed with his body. You can see that position right there, but a little jammed. Hits the net cord, returns short. Alcaraz has a chance to potentially get aggressive here, but it did hit the net cord, so it's probably going to bounce pretty low on this one. Alcaraz slices the forehand, and Djokovic is in a position where Alcaraz slices, but Djokovic can get aggressive here, and he does, and he takes a small target pretty early in the point with the forehand side, gets Alcaraz on the run, hitting a slice from a defensive position here. So we see Alcaraz stretched out on this shot. Djokovic getting aggressive to the small target. Alcaraz floats the slice and actually ends up hitting a small target of his own. A lot of times when we're on defense, we don't want to hit small targets with floating shots because it means our recovery position on the other side has to be really, really wide and big. It means we're going to have to run a lot potentially on the next shot. So Alcaraz not hitting a smart shot here, but he feels so good about his footwork that he's like, hey, I think I can cover this. Djokovic rifle down the line. Djokovic, again, can attack from this position if he wants. And Novak's like, I'm going to continue to attack, right? He takes a small target with the forehand right here to try to continue to run Alcaraz. But God, Alcaraz is super, super comfortable running side to side, isn't he? Because he's running over here now, hits the running sliding slice again. And from this position, right, even on the dead stretch, stretching out here for the backhand, he feels pretty good about how he's able to place the ball from these positions, right? Place the ball and make Djokovic's volleys difficult by dropping them short or hitting them left and right. Even from these stretch positions, Alcaraz is still able to hit it cross and force Novak to take a volley, right? That's not a high position volley, which we talked about in a point earlier. He gets the ball down even from these defensive positions. And when you're getting it down, you force your opponent to have to volley up, which means they have to volley a little more defensively than if the balls were up here where they could attack. So Djokovic ends up feeling the pressure of that footwork from Alcaraz, the ability to cover all these crazy shots, starting with this small target right here, covers that. Then Djokovic goes aggressive backhand down the line, close to a small target, right? Alcaraz covers that with topspin. Then Djokovic hits a forehand. Small target again, comes in. Alcaraz covers that with a low cross-court defensive ball. Djokovic feels the pressure of those feet and pops it into the net. Just incredible footwork and defensive skills, pressuring and making somebody feel your feet as a weapon from Alcaraz on Djokovic's side of the net. And the last thing I want to kind of jump into and talk about, right, is zones in tennis, zones 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 10 years ago, I started tracking tennis matches and doing analysis and broke the court down into 5 different zones of the court. So we have from the net to the service line, that's going to be zone 1. From the service line to three-quarter court is zone 2. From three-quarter court to the baseline is zone number 3. From the baseline to halfway to the back fence is going to be zone 4, and from halfway to the back fence itself is zone 5. So I'm tracking player position, where they hit the ball from, what zone they're actually hitting the ball from, and then we're also tracking what zone the balls are landing in, 1, 2, or 3. So the incredible thing that Djokovic has done for years is Djokovic has had an incredible ability to hit his balls deep in zone 3 consistently, opponent after opponent and year after year. And in this match, Novak usually has, just as a rough idea, he usually has a range of 36 to 41% of his balls roughly landing in zone 3 when he's playing these big matches and finals. In this match, he had 39% of his shots landing deep in zone 3. So he was basically in the middle of his normal averages. So he had a good day in terms of his depth with his shots in the court. But what Alcaraz was able to do, and what Alcaraz has really improved on, is his ability to handle these zone 3 balls and not hit a lot of weak shots off of them, or make mistakes, or hit balls that Djokovic could attack on the next ball. And even if Djokovic felt like he could attack the next ball or had a ball to work with, Alcaraz used his incredible foot speed and athleticism to survive in points and present problems for Djokovic. So Alcaraz did a really phenomenal job of blunting Novak's depth, his zone 3 depth in points and on shots. And we'll take a look at some points now to see exactly how Alcaraz handled it and how he was able to combat it. All right, so before we break this one down, let's let it play once in real time. Alcaraz serving again. Djokovic return of serve with the backhand side. Really good depth and just a small target from Novak there. Good depth again from the forehand from Djokovic. Decent ball there. Depth again from Novak. Alcaraz hits deep and Djokovic sprays the air. So let's break this point down now, guys. We've got Djokovic here returning on the near side. Alcaraz serving. Shorter return from Novak. Alcaraz really steps up to punish the backhand. Alcaraz in this match got very aggressive with his own backhand to Djokovic's backhand. He liked the backhand to backhand matchup and tried to do damage to Djokovic's backhand with his own backhand quite a bit. But then from there, guys, we can see Djokovic covers it, doing what Novak typically does and what we expect from Novak. When he's on defense, sliding in these crazy defensive positions, Novak is still able to come up with unbelievable counters from these very difficult positions. He still has that skill set, and he paints the single sideline with this shot right here. And Novak actually freezes and stops moving his feet, because if he hits this shot against most people, there's no way they're getting the ball back when it lands on the single sideline in zone 3. But Alcaraz tracks it down pretty comfortably and gets over there to hit the slice forehand. And Djokovic cranks the forehand right there and does a good job of getting it into zone 3, finding depth right here. So again, Djokovic's depth not bothering Alcaraz very much. He neutralizes. Alcaraz hits short into zone 2. Djokovic goes cross with his own backhand right here. Alcaraz hits a forehand that's relatively short in the middle. So another chance for Djokovic to get aggressive right here because it's not deep. He gets aggressive, cross court, finds zone 3 depth, but Alcaraz, incredible depth and to a small target off of Djokovic's zone 3 deep ball. Djokovic feels the pressure and goes small target. He basically bails out of the point. He's had enough. He takes a high risk, low percentage shot in that situation. So Alcaraz here really handling Djokovic's depth well and forcing Djokovic to go for more than he should. All right, let's jump into the final point now, guys. Let's let it play once in real time before we break it down. Alcaraz serving on the near side right here. Good bullet serve to the body. Good return from Djokovic. Loopy from Alcaraz. We get into a little backhand exchange here. And then Djokovic finishes with an error in the net. All right, so let's jump in and break this down now. Again, Alcaraz serving on the near side to Djokovic. Hits a bullet serve, and Djokovic is all over that. He's got no problem with that. No problem handling it right here. So very comfortable, expecting the heat at this point, and handles it well and gets Alcaraz running on the first shot here on defense. Alcaraz loops it up. Does a good job just to buy time. So Alcaraz takes this shot from a defensive position, follows through high right here, and loops it and tries to give himself time to recover back into the court for defense right here to Djokovic's backhand side. Djokovic takes it early and hits it cross deep into zone 3 again, using his depth on these shots. Alcaraz hits it short cross court, okay? But it's cross, so it's going to be tough for Djokovic to truly attack off that cross ball, even though it's short. Djokovic goes deep again. Usually these deep-to-deep cross-court backhand exchanges is a good matchup for Djokovic, where he can break down most guys. They'll end up hitting short to the middle of the court, making mistakes or spraying balls wide or long. But Alcaraz has improved his backhand so much that he's staying with Djokovic in these rallies where Djokovic can't finish him. So Alcaraz ends up hitting cross with a pretty deep ball of his own right here, right? And then Djokovic bails out and tries to change direction with the backhand down the line and misses the shot. So again, Alcaraz time and time again in this match was able to handle Djokovic's zone 3 depth, and that's not something a lot of people can comfortably do. And judging by how well Alcaraz is handling Djokovic's depth, you have to assume that he's specifically been training to counter what Djokovic's strengths are, because it showed through and through in this match. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video on how Carlos Alcaraz beat Novak Djokovic in the 2024 men's Wimbledon final. If you found this video helpful or you feel like you learned something today, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It helps this channel continue to grow. I'm Jason Frausto for tennisunleashed.net. I'll see you next time.